So what we have here is a 1996 Suzuki Vitara, and what I'm hoping to do is make some sort of a lift kit for it to clear some big tires. So what I have done is released each of the individual chassis mounting points for the body, front, back and sides. This is where it mounted at the front. That's noisy. Okay, this is the piece that we removed from the chassis for our support. I'm going to weld it into the top of this pipe, with a 3-inch pipe. Then the hole that we made in there, we're going to just insert like so, and that can form the new mount, and that will be welded in place. Here we have two of the lift tubes with the support caps welded in. Welding doesn't seem to have turned out too bad. So it's clean metal and a shield that you can, a welding shield that you can see out through. Okay, two of the body supports are tacked in place. Now, next job will be the fuel tank. That's a little bit low to the ground, so in order to give better clearance, I think we're going to take it out and lift it by 6 inches also. As you can see now, we have the body supports welded into place. We have the raised petrol tank supports welded into place. And any slight misalignment in the supports can be dealt with the watchmaker's friend here. Okay, we have the fuel tank relocated and all the relevant pipework connected up. The rear of the body is mounted and is the front. So this is the height that it's going to be sitting at. And this is secured at the front with bolts. Next thing is then to start doing the rear body mounts. As you can see, I'm getting ready to press this one into place. And for this, I'm going to just use the small 2-tone jack. With a little bit of help from the hammer. as you can see, it took a little bit of persuasion, and I had to bend the trailing arm bracket out slightly in order to make the tube fit up past it. Now the support tube is in place, held up with the jack, and this is to maintain pressure on the rubber bushing before welding and to attain the correct height, same as the rest of them. Now, as you can see, I have completed the welding around this support. Lots of rust in this machine. It's a bit like it's made from mahogany muck sticks, but hey, it's for off-road. Not going to get fussy about it. So this is the steering shaft. It has to be modified, of course, because we have raised the body on the Vitara. Now, I have cut a track before I cut the shaft all the way along the steering shaft so that it keeps the universal joints in phase. And this groove will line up with the weld on the internal side of the piece of pipe that I'm using. In this case, it's about a 1/2 inch pipe, and it's very hard to see, but there is a weld seam along the inside edge of that, and that'll keep our phasing the same on the steering shaft. So all that's left now is to weld all of this together, and that'll give us our extension on our steering shaft. Now, as you can see, the steering shaft is welded up, and we'll be able to push back in the telescopic portion back into the steering shaft. Brake lines needed also to be moved, so we have this bracket made here so that we can move the brake lines. This one for the front right wheel, the brake line will have to be remade. I just used an old stub of an old brake line in order to keep it closed while welding and stuff like that. And we have our steering shaft also hooked up. So, all good. So the next piece of this little puzzle to go back together is make a new brake line from here all the way around to here. Okay, and replace this flexi hose because I'm so sure it's perished and rotten. Now, I have checked that all my bleeder nipple and everything else is free to move, and that we can bleed the caliper afterwards. Okay, so we're making a new brake pipe for this Suzuki so that it takes into account the lifted body. As you can see, I have formed one flare nut, and I have bent the pipe accordingly. I have measured it in place, and I've come up with this length here. Okay, so now it's time to form the other flare. Most important bit is, don't forget the flare nut. Insert the brake pipe into the brake pipe block. Just snug the clamp bolts down by hand and push the pipe all the way in until it meets with the stop. We have our stop plug in here at the moment. So now, next thing is tighten those down. Remove the stop plug. It's going to be a double flare. Okay, so we start by using the male flare former. Tighten it down. forget to put some of the grease that comes with the punch on the die, otherwise it'll mar the pipe. Again, we want to make a double flare, double female flare. So we insert the female die into it. Then we should have a completed flare. Release it from the die. As you can see, you have a completed double female flare. Okay, as we can see now, our brake pipe is complete and in position. Coated all fittings and everything else with some copper grease. Ensure that you don't have rust in them again. The hose is a brand new, supplied by Jimmy Bits in the UK, and it fits perfect. Great stuff. Unfortunately, my brake caliper sliders are seized solid with rust from non-use. So what I'm going to do now is immerse it in phosphoric acid for a few days and just see what happens. Okay, in the yellow bucket here we have a little bit of activity going on. It's bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. And that's basically a bucket of milkstone remover, which contains phosphoric acid. And we have two brake calipers that are seized solid with rust. The seals, dust seals have been removed. Pistons are just absolutely seized solid in the calipers, so we're cleaning them off, getting rid of the rust, using the phosphoric acid, and it's doing quite a good job, as you can see. Hopefully that will clean them enough so that I can get the pistons out. New pistons and seals, full rebuild kit into those calipers, and that'll leave them nice and safe. Okay, so caliper is cleaned up and a little bit of paint on it and stuff like that. Big Red has supplied new piston kit. Nice job. Seals, and of course the all important bit of lube, makes everything work. So here we have the caliper, which has been cleaned and painted. I have cleaned out the inner seal retaining groove with my brass pin, brazed onto the end of a piece of pipe, so that I can follow the groove around and clean all of the dirt out of that. Then I used a little bit of Scotch-Brite, pushed into the groove, and then forced around with our brass piece in order to clean the remainder of it out. Okay, when you've finished all of that, a little bit of spray clean. To remove the remainder. Wipe everything down. A little bit of air. Remove any remaining residue in there. Okay, so now we're ready to start. This is the old piston, which you can see is, even after cleaning, it's so badly pitted that it cannot be used again. It is beyond repair. This, on the other hand, is our brand new piston from Big Red. bought a complete rebuild kit, including seals. This is the main seal, and this is our dust seal. So, first of all, we start with lubing up the seal, main seal. And this performs a number of functions. It allows the piston into the bore easily without pinching the seal. And secondly, it helps to prevent further corrosion in the actual seal groove itself. Okay, so we insert that just like so, feed it in all the way around, drop it into place. Run your finger around it, make sure that it's sitting evenly in the bore. Okay, so before we insert the piston, just put a little bit of extra lube in around the seal. Just to help our piston to get in there. We'll put a little bit of lube around the bottom of our piston as well. Remember, it has to pass the rubber seal. Just a smear is enough. This is the silicone grease that came along with the piston kit, the rebuild kit from Big Red. So we'll draw our rubber boot to expose the retaining ring just past the end of the piston. Then we'll stand our piston up, insert the rear of the retaining lip in the retaining groove of the caliper. Okay, so rotate it a couple of times just to verify that it's sitting down correctly. In our case, no. There we go. There we go. It's sitting in correctly now. And there's one bit of it up. So we'll continue to try until we get it sitting correctly. And there it is, sitting correctly. And rotate it slightly just to verify all the way around that it is located in the groove 360 degrees, at which point we will then ease the piston down into place. Just gently feel it in. We slowly force that in. Just a little bit of a wiggle to get it down. Then you'll see that our dust boot will seat itself in the retaining groove of the piston. So we use a little bit of wood to protect the piston, because we are going to just force it out gently with not too much air. We don't want it halfway across the field. Now I have an old valve here for helping to seal around the banjo bolt hole, the piston, the caliper. Now, gently, there we go, that's enough. Just check that the boot is straight, it's in position. And there we go, that's it done. And the final piece to the puzzle here is the transmission tunnel. As you can see, you have the body raised, so it would mean that the gear shift wouldn't move in the holes. So I've had to cut out a section of the transmission tunnel, make a little box and lower it down. Of course, welding this really light stuff wasn't that easy, so the flap disc was my savior. It's a bit like the Undertaker quietly covers over the doctor's failings. So there you go. Time to get it all back together again and get it running.